Um, we are live again. This is exciting. I know it's going to take a couple of seconds for people to trickle in. Hey, you guys, how are you doing? I decided that I wanted to talk about Dave Chappelle's new comedy special because everybody's talking about it, and I like to talk about things, and I have to be honest with you. I've said before that I wasn't the biggest fan of Chappelle's show, but there are plenty of sketches in Chappelle's show that I think are exceptional. So incisive, so acerbic. I think that the writing that Dave Chappelle and Neil Brennan did on Chappelle's show in some instances was really exceptional. Now, in other instances, it was not my cup of tea. So I'm not biased against Dave Chappelle. I'm just going to put that out there. I don't go up for him the way that a lot of people go up. So let's go ahead and get into it. I watched this special primarily because people were talking about it, and I make it a point, like, I am not going to prejudge something. So it is my responsibility as a responsible cultural critic. Like, I can't be out here saying Dave Chappelle is transphobic and he's a misogynist if I didn't sit down and watch it. Like, I have to do that. So I watched it and I have some thoughts. Let's get into them. So the first thing that I noticed about this The first thing that I noticed about this special was Dave Chappelle came out dressed like Lamont from Sanford and Son in that one piece. What are you doing? What you got on there? Anyways, that was actually pretty fitting because it feels like these were his old man, like, get off my lawn jokes. But anyways, you can dress however you want to dress. I'm just saying, like, he chose the right getup. Next thing, so he started by discussing Anthony Bourdain's suicide, and he juxtaposes Anthony Bourdain's suicide, who had this amazing life and he had this amazing job, and he juxtaposes that with his friend who has a not so amazing life and makes like $50,000 a year and works at Foot Locker. And it feels to me like that is supposed to say, like, look how bad celebrities have it. Like, we have everything and we're still sad. And I'm like, okay. But let me just say this. I immediately knew that this audience was on some shit when Dave Chappelle was talking about Anthony Bourdain. And he says, Anthony Bourdain killed himself. And there's a pause. And the audience laughed. And I'm like, do y'all even know what you're laughing at? Y'all just laughing. Y'all just laughing because Dave Chappelle said it. And that's how I knew, right? There are so many people who are literally like sycophants, like obsessive Dave Chappelle fans, that it doesn't even matter what he says. Y'all just gonna be out here laughing. Because there was no joke right there. So anyways, the comparison between Bourdain and the manager at Foot Locker, whatever, is so simplistic. And it's like, it's so simplistic that I wonder if Dave Chappelle does this in good faith, right? Because anybody with a base level understanding of, I don't know, mental health or brain chemistry knows that a desire to commit suicide is not about how great and fancy your life is or how much money you like anybody. So I was like, okay, the only reason why you invoked Anthony Bourdain was to say that celebrities have it so bad. Like, that to me felt like why he was bringing it up. And don't be bringing in somebody's suicide for no fucking reason. Have a point. So that's our first theme, right? So our first theme of this special was celebrities have problems, celebrities have it bad. He even goes so far as to say at one point, it's hunting season for celebrities. Celebrities are hunted. And like, you gotta sit back and be like, really? Is that really how you feel? Okay. I also thought it was interesting that he started off by singing 1999 by Prince. So that's an iconic Prince song from 1982. And in the Prince song, Prince is describing, like, let's go out with a bang. Let's party while we can before the world is over. You know, y'all remember Y2K and like all of the uproar about that? Anyways, I was just thinking about that. But I think it is fitting because Dave Chappelle does seem to have a very apocalyptic view of the world. And, you know, I don't go to any media looking for positivity. I think that's so foolish and it's really childish. Like, I'm not looking for you to like uplift me and be happy. But it is certainly interesting how nihilistic Dave Chappelle is in this special. But it's the kind of pessimism that I think creates in people a kind of misanthropy, right? A dislike for humans. Like, that's Dave Chappelle's whole shtick. Like, y'all are fucking dumb. Like, I hate that. And it's like, okay. But that kind of misanthropy is actually, it's really self-serving. It's really inward looking. And when you have this idea of y'all are all stupid and I'm the smart one and I'm the only person who knows, it inhibits a necessary self-reflection. There are so many ideas in this special where I'm like, ooh, this needed an editor. You needed somebody to review this for you because those thoughts are not well thought out. You need somebody to come in here and say, maybe you're not the smartest person for this. So anyways, in this special, I have notes. I have so many notes. So it feels like Dave is playing the role of like curmudgeonly dad. And we get just a bunch of thoughts that are just like, ooh, you know? And that idea of Dave Chappelle is the smartest person in the world, well, in the room at least, and y'all not gonna control him, like a very Kanye thought, to be honest, is undergirded by the first quotes that we see in the special. One is from Kendrick Lamar, which is like, y'all can't tell me nothing. And then there's another one from Jay-Z, which is also like, y'all can't tell me nothing. I'm going to get to the comments after I'm done with my thoughts, by the way. Oh, you know, another thing that I was thinking about with the use of 1999 early on in this special is when Prince wrote 1999 in 1982, he was looking forward. And it's so interesting for Dave Chappelle to sing 1999 in 2019 because he's looking backward, right? And this does feel like a very regressive, early on in this special, it does feel very regressive, intentionally regressive, right? Like, let's go back in time. I'm sure he didn't mean to do that, but I put those pieces together. Okay, so let's get into the actual meat and potatoes of it. So he does the Anthony Bourdain joke, and then he goes into I have two impressions. And it's so interesting to me that he started off this freaking special yelling at the audience, you know, like, y'all are so dumb and I'm gonna cancel anybody who doesn't. And I'm like, really? Like, the people, we've already established that the people in the audience who paid money to see Dave Chappelle are sycophants. They're gonna laugh at whatever he says. So those are not the people that he has an issue with. He has an issue with us. Like, he not mad at the people who paid to see him who gonna laugh at him just standing there and making no sense. He's mad at the rest of us, the people who dare to offer any kind of criticism of his thoughts, particularly the thoughts from the last couple of specials that were like, dude, you transphobic. Dude, this is homophobic. Dude, nobody want to listen to no rape jokes. Like, that's who he's mad about. But it's also, and it's not even just that kind of criticism, it's also this cancel culture. Okay. So look, I believe I've made whole videos about this, right? It is incumbent upon us to, if we're going to be calling people out, right? If we're going to say, you did this wrong, we also have to say, okay, and this is what you need to do to be able to make it right. We can't be in the mode of banishing people forever. Because it doesn't work, you guys. That does not work, right? So we have to institute processes for people to make amends and do their work and be reintroduced into society. That's not the word that I'm trying to think of, but anyways, right? People have to be able to come back. I'm for that, right? But Dave Chappelle is not anti-cancel culture. He's anti-consequences. And in particular, he's anti-consequences for his friends. Over and over again, he talks about people he has intimate relationships with who have been victims of cancel culture. And I'm like, these rich ass people who still have jobs, who still work, like that is not, it's not the same. And then he goes, oh, this is the worst time ever to be a celebrity. I'm like, for real, man, sir. First of all, we have a celebrity in the White House. So it ain't the worst. It's not the worst time to be a celebrity. But also, you have more money. You have more money than everybody in this room combined. You get a platform, a national platform to say whatever bullshit you want to say. You've had 3 specials before where you've been transphobic, homophobic, misogynistic, made rape jokes. You still have a platform. But, oh, it's the worst time ever to be a... Dave, come on now. Let's be real, Dave. Okay. So I do have a problem with the way that famous people and people with big platforms metabolize outrage or metabolize criticism. Because I feel like people are really cool with outrage when it benefits them, right? So it's like the only real social justice causes that Dave Chappelle is deeply invested in would be like anti-racism. He clearly has a very strong racial identity. And I just wonder, is Dave Chappelle mad about outrage culture when we getting a racist the fuck out of here? I haven't seen it. I've never seen Dave Chappelle say, whoa, don't be too hard on that racist, right? Dave Chappelle is mad about people being protective of the classes that he is not a part of. And that is what bothers me about this special. Okay. Yeah, he's mad that he and his friends are being called out for doing foul shit. That's it. So I thought that when he was talking about, berating the audience and talking about the, if I do anything you disagree with, and I'm like, huh? And I feel like he was being purposely vague. And, I do not think that we need to continually penalize people for doing stupid shit. But then we find out that Dave Chappelle is talking about child rape? Sexual misconduct? Like what? So this isn't actually even about cancel culture, that amorphous thing, right? So it's like, we know, because we're regular people, that celebrities are already a protected class. Nobody ever really gets canceled. If you got enough money, if you got enough clout, if you have enough fans, you can do whatever foul shit you want to do and go on living your happy life. The only thing you do not get if you get canceled is an access to mainstream media. That's the only thing. Dave Chappelle out here outraged because Louis C.K. is not going to be on CBS News. Okay, and then we get the Michael Jackson molestation jokes, Then we get the really tired, so what if Michael molested kids, which is a joke that so many people have said before. You'd be happy if you were molested by Michael Jackson. Heard it, Dave, heard it. Okay. And then, and when he's talking about the Michael Jackson stuff, he's like, oh, I'm going to say something I'm not allowed to say. And I'm like, have you been on the internet? Dave Chappelle is really not plugged in because a good 60 to 70% of black folks don't think Michael Jackson did it. I feel like I believe Michael Jackson molested at least one child. Absolutely. You're not going to convince me otherwise. At least one. That is not the most popular opinion, okay? And I've gotten a lot of shit for that opinion. But this idea that you're so far outside of it feels to me like maybe Dave Chappelle should have some non-famous friends or get out of his bubble, because these ideas that he's positing that are supposedly so progressive and too hot for TV, even though he says he doesn't use that are forbidden. This is barbershop talk, okay? Go on Facebook, okay? There are lots and lots of people saying this exact same stuff. It's not brave. These are not uncommon sentiments. And also, nobody's canceling Michael Jackson. You know, we didn't celebrate the 10-year anniversary of Michael Jackson's passing, so I guess maybe. But like, that man didn't cancel. His estate's still bringing in tens of millions of dollars a year. So it's just like, who are you talking about? What are you referring to? Are you referring to journalists on Twitter? Are you referring to real people? Like, I don't understand. There's a disconnect for me. And then he goes on that extended bit about hypothetically molesting Macaulay Culkin. And again, I'm so perplexed by the laughter. Are y'all laughing at hypothetically molesting kids? Like, I was just like, what y'all? I can't relate, cannot relate. And I also don't like that, like, Rihanna caught a stray here. I just feel like using Rihanna's abuse for like a random laugh, it really rubbed me the wrong way. Because it's like, Rihanna's just trying to be happy and live her life. And I know she's rich and famous and protected and has a rich ass man. I get it. It just feels like, why we always just gotta bring that up? Like, why it gotta be a punchline? I really didn't like it. And I also have to say, Dream Hampton, he brought up Dream Hampton in the special. Dream has said that she asked him to talk about the R. Kelly sketches from Chappelle's show. She asked him to talk about his work about R. Kelly. So I don't understand what him not knowing R. Kelly has to do with that. You made sketches about R. Kelly peeing on girls and you don't know R. Kelly. So I was just like, okay, okay. And if you mad at Dream, whatever, be mad at her because she talked about you in the public. But there are so many places in the special where I'm like, the logic is not okay. So, it seems to me like Dave Chappelle fundamentally has a problem with the contract that like comes with being a public figure who has this platform and releases work to the public. So a part of the contract is this is an exchange, right? You present the work and then people respond to the work. You get millions of dollars, you get a platform, you get to live the life that you want, you get to live your dream, do what you're great at, and then we, the public, then say, "Ooh, I didn't like that. Ooh, I wasn't into that. That was offensive." Fundamentally, it feels like Dave Chappelle doesn't like the fact that we are able to talk back to him. And the fact that now we're able to talk back in a way where celebrities like can't just ignore it, right? The way that people's concerns are amplified now makes it so that, sorry, you're just not going to be able to live in the celebrity bubble forever and never hear when people say, "Oh, you got it wrong." Okay, and it's like, look, if you can't handle people responding negatively to your work, you got to choose a different line of work. Like, that comes with the territory. And this is something that I have had to say to myself. I have literally said when people say crazy stuff about me, Kim, you could go to grad school if you wanted to. You decided you didn't want to get a PhD. You decided you want to do this. So a part of that is people gonna talk shit. That's it, okay? Accept it or move on. And I am consistently like blown by how thin-skinned so many rich and powerful people are. You know what? And the other thing, it just seems like, Dave Chappelle has really dug into this thing where it's like, these are my ideas and I'm not backing down. And what's the world gonna be if I can't say whatever I want with no consequences? And it's like, you know what, bro? You know what? Sometimes your individual life is gonna have to be a little bit worse, a little bit less comfortable to make other people's lives better. And that is what has always happened when we're talking about social justice, when we're talking about giving people dignity and equity. Sometimes you're going to have to give up some stuff. And in this case, what you're going to have to give up is being able to be fucking transphobic in front of millions of people. Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. And, when Dave Chappelle kind of randomly alludes to, I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to get in trouble. This is going to get me in trouble. And I'm like, What's going to get you? What does trouble mean? What do you mean by this is going to get you in trouble? How are you going to get in trouble by taking the side of the mainstream, right? So being transphobic, being misogynistic, being homophobic are mainstream ideals. That is popular opinion. And our public policy is on the side of transphobia and misogyny and homophobia. Power is on the side of homophobia, transphobia, misogyny. So who's going to get you in trouble, Dave? Who, again, let's be specific. Who are you referring to? People on Twitter who have no impact on your life? Okay. Okay, so then he gets into the Me Too movement has gone too far. And I'm just like, this is, again, it's just not a new or interesting sentiment. It's just, okay. So another thing about this is, Dave says that the Me Too movement has gone too far, and that's why we are experiencing all this backlash in the form of abortion bans or whatever. And so first of all, it's like, I can't believe that Dave wouldn't know this. It feels to me like he is being intentionally obtuse just to make a point. But we all know that the anti-abortion movement has been building up for 30 years. They just happen to be in a space where they can make some big moves. But also, anybody who studies political history knows that anytime there is any kind of progress in our society, that there is going to be a simultaneous backlash, a simultaneous pushback. And Ibram Kendi's book, Stamped from the Beginning, Ibram Kendi, read this book, it's so good. He calls it, when he talks about race and the fact that we're moving forward, but there's always pushback, he calls it racial progress versus racist progress, right? Like, this is just a thing that happens. We just not going march forward and nobody reacts. So I don't know, using the Me Too movement to be like, oh, women, don't get out of hand. I'm like, you gotta read. You gotta consult some people who know what they're talking about here. But that doesn't mean, just because there is backlash, doesn't mean that we don't press forward. Where would we even be? It bothers me. So then he explicitly says celebrities are being hunted. It's celebrity hunting season. And then he goes on with the Kevin Hart stuff. Okay. So when Dave said, oh, Kevin Hart is guilty of only being imperfect for 4 tweets. Untrue. But anyways, the other part is when he says, he's like, I know lots of gay people, and no gay person has ever told me that their parent bashed them over the head with the dollhouse. And I'm like, I've definitely heard many gay folks talk about the violence that their parents have inflicted on them because they were gay. It's not the reason. So Dave is trying to say Kevin Hart's tweet was so absurd that nobody should ever take it personally, or that nobody should ever take it seriously. He was being absurd. It's not absurd if gay folks are literally experiencing this kind of violence in their homes and in their communities. That's why people are mad. That's why people are upset. Because gay people experience violence. Their parents kick them out of their homes. They're still discriminated against. It's still legal to discriminate against LGBTQ folks in housing, in employment. The vice president's wife works at a school where gay people just cannot work. Can't work there if you're gay, right? So why are we acting like shit is sweet for every single gay? I'm like, you guys, okay. Harassment is still there. Violence is still there. And if you do not know enough about gay folks to recognize that the violence is real, that it happens, that it's not just this random absurd joke, then you are not in a position to make jokes about gay folks. You just don't know enough. You need to do some more reading, talk to some people, okay? You're not in the position. You're in the bigot position if you don't know that. And then we get the F word jokes. F word meaning the gay slur for the gay slur. You guys, I was so weirded out and disturbed by like the weird like mischievous grin that had on his face when he was yelling out that word. Like, that is edgy comedy to 15-year-olds. You know, that's that real sophomoric, childish, odd future comedy. Like, I said a naughty word. And it's like, how old are you? What's going on here? You know, it's like, really grow up. And that joke and the responses to it are super interesting to me because it just reminds me that most people straight up do not view gay people as equals. Straight people straight up are not invested in the humanity of gay people. If you can't see why it would be inappropriate for you as a straight person not to shout out multiple times a gay slur, you have a problem with gay people. I mean, you know, because gay folks been telling us, okay? And if you can recognize that if a white man were up there yelling the word nigger, this video gonna be demonetized. I've just embraced it. I've accepted this. If a white man stood up on a stage and yelled the word nigger with that grin on his face multiple times and said, I can do it, it wouldn't be no Netflix special. He would be blackballed. He would be canceled. And if you don't understand why those things are similar, you need to check the bigotry. Oh yeah. So, and the other thing is, it's like, so many people, you know, I made a little community post and I had to delete a couple of comments for using that word. And people are like, well, being black is not the same thing as being gay. And it's like, right, but there are also gay black folks. But also, there are ways that gay folks are marginalized in the society that black folks are not, okay? Black people are not the only people, straight black people are not the only people who suffer. We do not, I'm a straight black woman, we do not get the final say on what suffering is, what suffering deserves to be acknowledged or respected. We don't get to do that. And we also don't get to be the arbiters of this slur hurts and this slur, like, what are you, look, being black, okay, we go through some shit, but we're not the only people. And also what this special highlights is, it is often straight black people who are the perpetrators of violence against gay black folks, who are the excusers of that violence, who are the excusers of stripping gay folks of their dignity. Okay. So I think a lot of straight black people are just deeply invested in this idea that our suffering is the worst suffering and that gives us carte blanche to just be nasty. And I'm not with it. Girl, I'm sweating. I'm hot. And by the way, you know, this idea that, why can't I say the F word? Again, not a new or interesting sentiment and not even a new spin on an old sentiment. This is my problem with the first part of this special. We've heard it. Okay. And, you know, the logic of why folks inside of a group can use that group's slurs and why folks outside of that group can't use those slurs, it has been broken down so many times. We've black folks know, because we have to do this with nigger. We've gone over this so many times that I'm not even really gonna rehash it. Ta-Nehisi broke it down. Ta-Nehisi Coates broke it down. There's like a viral clip of him explaining it to a white person. I'm not gonna do it, but you know why. And then well, I'm not a nigger. It's not. And I'm like, y'all are not really laughing at this, because you know that logic breaks down. I believe that Dave Chappelle is being obtuse on purpose, just so that he could get up there and scream a gay slur repeatedly. And it's not edgy, and it is offensive in a way that does nothing. Whew. Also, Dave Chappelle does not get trans people, right? We've been known that, okay? And it's okay to not get trans people. But to double down on the ignorance is really what has people hot, okay? It's okay. If you don't get them, that's fine. But throwing what is essentially a very well-paid tantrum because somebody said, ooh, you didn't quite get it. And by the way, I watched the epilogue and I do not believe that Daphne story one bit. I do not believe that story in the epilogue about the trans woman one bit. Not at all. First of all, because I've never heard a trans person refer to trans people as transgenders. Never heard it. Look, Dave Chappelle is a really great storyteller, and I believe that he made up that story about Daphne, but whatever. Okay, sorry. I have to get my notes back up. Doubling down on jokes that are born out of your ignorance is not comedy, you guys. Like, I don't know. It's not interesting. It's not progressive. It's not particularly funny to me. It's a tantrum. Whew. So basically, when we're talking about, a lot of the, when he's talking about the alphabet people, a lot of those jokes are just about his disdain for those groups. And there's no amount of I have gay friends that is going to mask the obvious disdain that Chappelle has for those groups and the attention that they get, right? And the laughter at those parts was uproarious. And I've seen so many people say, oh, that was so funny, that was hilarious. And I do feel like a lot of straight cis folks are laughing because they have a similar kind of disdain. A lot of straight folks, straight cisgender people feel not legitimately, but they really do feel put out by the amount of time that we spend talking about equality and LGBTQ plus rights. They don't like it, right? It's almost as I see black folks say this all the time, and a certain kind of black folks being like, they cut us in line. Y'all, again, legally, you are legally allowed to discriminate against gay and trans people. Legally. You can explicitly say, if you're gay, you can't work here. You can't do that for black folks. Now, we know that discrimination happens against black people every day. What I'm saying is that there is still protections against discrimination against those groups enshrined in our legal system. So this thing like, oh, they're skipping us in line and they're getting too much attention. It's like, y'all, these people are just talking about wanting to be treated like people. Like, what are you? Anyways, and that's the problem with viewing justice as a race, as a fight. And like, it feels like a lot of people feel like it's like the disdain for LGBT folks talking about their experiences. It's like so many straight cis people are like, be who you are, but don't be it too loudly. Don't call too much attention to yourself. And it's like, y'all, we as black folks hear this sentiment all the time. It's like John Roberts, who's Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, has said something like, the only way to get rid of racism is to stop talking about it. Or the only way to get rid of discrimination is to stop doing it, in regards to affirmative action. We know that does not work, okay? People have a right to advocate for their own interests. I just think that continually poking fun at a group that is already disadvantaged, a group that you already have so much privilege over in every way imaginable, it's just not brave to me. It's not brave. And so when people are out here like, oh, I can't believe Dave Chappelle did that. And I'm like, I can believe it. I believe it. There are not real penalties for being on the side of power. I don't, it's like we're living in a different world. So over and over again, I've seen people say that Dave Chappelle is angry. And, anger in and of itself is not like a huge deal to me. I think anger is sometimes justified But I'm always interested in who you're angry at, who you're directing it at, the source of the anger, and what it produces. And it seems to me like Dave Chappelle is angry at all the people. Like in the first half of this special, he's angry at like all the people who are just like, bro, we just trying to live, dude. It doesn't make sense to me. And that raging at the alphabet people because have to be politically correct and you have to change your vocabulary. That is a very, very Donald Trump thing. It's very inherently conservative. It is very MAGA. And when I see so many Black folks in particular espousing those kind of views, it really, I say over and over again that there are a whole lot of Black conservatives. There just are not a lot of Black Republicans because the GOP is racist. But there are a whole lot of people who believe truly like there's a gay agenda. They're coming for our stuff. They skipped us in line. It's fundamentally conservative. And it is interesting to me that the people who have been most effusive in their praise for Dave Chappelle's special are people, white folks on the right. Go on Breitbart. There is a glowing review of this special on Breitbart. I saw a review on a website called Bro Bible. I'm sure Ben Shapiro has lots of very positive things to say about this special. And that is because fundamentally, Dave Chappelle's ideas are, don't change this shit. Ooh, so progressive. So Dave, don't shake the table. But it's like, no, that is the table. Okay. Like I said, a lot of Black folks just have a problem with racism and that's it. They're cool with the other stuff. I think most people are not about the business of fundamentally changing the world to make it better, to make it a better place for everybody. They're about changing the world to make it a better place for you. Just you. People are primarily motivated by self-interest. So I'll say that was my problem with the first half of the special. But the last half, 30 minutes were very funny. And I think they were very funny to me because Dave Chappelle is really good at talking about racism. He's really good at talking about the stuff that he has a vested interest in. And so the stories about getting the gun and even, the mass shooter joke that he made about his kid, I think Dave Chappelle is an excellent storyteller. It just really breaks down when he doubles down on that, that Bill O'Reilly shit, the Ben Shapiro shit. But another thing about this is, it does seem to me like Dave Chappelle is beset by a great deal of paranoia. So this is really, how sometimes we talk about, how Jay-Z and Kanye give us rich nigga raps? Like, this is rich nigga comedy, like, I am more wealthy and more famous than you will ever be, and that makes me a target. And so much of this is about that life. And that's cool, but, it's cool when it's cool, but, okay. I guess an undercurrent of this special is so much like, even when he's talking about getting that gun, it's so much of like, I'm a target. Like, I don't want y'all to take anything away from me. I have to protect my stuff. And again, that is fundamentally a really conservative viewpoint. When you are the most powerful, one among the most powerful people, yes, I know Dave Chappelle is still a Black man, but he a rich ass Black man with a non-Black wife and some mixed kids living in white ass Ohio. So fundamentally, his comedy is animated by a conservatism that it does make sense that it's going to take aim at people who have less than he does. Okay. What else do I have to say? Oh, okay. So I'm just going to say this. There are so many people, I've seen so many people, elders we'll call them, saying stuff like, I'm 45 and I love this special. It's only the kids under 35 who are triggered. I'm 50 and I loved it. And I'm like, y'all know that you can be 45 and wrong, right? You know that you can be middle-aged and wrong as fuck. It happens quite frequently, okay? But, if you want to be 50 and double down in your ignorance, that is fine. But the idea of, I get this because I'm old and this was the status quo back in my day. Your day was also real fucked up, okay? So I don't, you're proving my point, but whatever. I think fundamentally my problem with the first half of this special was I love comedy. I love to laugh. I feel like I have a pretty good sense of humor. But I think good comedy is comedy that forces us to stretch. It pushes us. And, in those first jokes, the Me Too jokes, the LGBTQ jokes, or whatever, like the Kevin Hart stuff, it's like, is Dave Chappelle pushing us to think differently? Really? Is he presenting a new viewpoint? Are you going to walk away from the first half of this special thinking, oh, well, I never thought of it like that? No. Because if you aren't in touch with straight cisgender people, you encounter that kind of stuff all the time. He used the first half of it to rant, and that's whatever. Use your platform however you want to use it, but don't call it comedy. Don't get mad at me because I didn't think your rant was unproductive and unfunny, right? That's on you. You made your choice. Just regurgitating barbershop thoughts is not interesting. It also reminded me of, I kind of went off in my VMA discussion about Sebastian Maniscalco and him doing the kids are triggered jokes. It's all that. You guys, there are so many specials on Netflix right now, that are about, we're too sensitive and can we even be funny anymore? And everybody's triggered nowadays. And I'm like, but everybody doing those damn jokes about how we're too sensitive in society, it's like, but y'all all got Netflix specials. So what is it? People are showing up to your shows to hear you say this regurgitated shit. So what is it? It seems to me that you're doing just fine with your unpopular opinions, with your unsafe opinions. So the last thing I'm going to say about this is I think art is important. I think comedy can be very important. I do think that artists and even cultural critics like me, people who make stuff, we do also have to right size our understanding of our importance in the world. Okay, so what you do can be important. It can shift things and change things. But I'm about sick of comedians talking like they Nelson Mandela. Okay, you're not Benazir Bhutto. Okay, you're not Martin Luther King. This idea that by saying unpopular things or politically correct, you're a target. You're a martyr. It's just not true. It's not true. And I think artists can be self-serving and artists can be myopic. And that myopia is really on display when we get that kind of talk. When comedians, they say controversial things, but those controversial things are about people who already suffer an inordinate amount of interpersonal and structural violence. And it's like, don't blame me for being over it. And oversensitivity is not killing comedy. Comedy across the board is as big as it's ever been. I've seen so many people say, well, what can you joke about? What can we even say anymore? Bruh, I can literally click on Netflix right now. How many comedy specials are there? The people are making jokes. Okay. Okay. Like, what are you saying? Comedy is all over the place. It's podcasts, it's TV, it's Instagram clips. Like, I think that, and I've heard other comedians say this, like, we're in this golden age of comedy because people want to laugh. Shit is bad. There is a way to be funny, incisive, progressive, thought provoking without picking on the people who are worst off. This is where I'm just going to name people I love. I love Jabuki Young White. I love Kid Fury and Crystal. I love Desus and Mero. I like a lot of women on a Black Lady sketch show. We're not going to get into that show. But, I love Ali Wong. There are so many people who are doing it, right? And thriving. So this idea that comedy is dead, no. Your opportunities to say dumb shit with no response is dead. Sorry. We off that. I also meant to say I love Joel Kim Booster. And finally, before we get to the opening of the questions part, I'm not a Dave Chappelle stan, obviously. I feel like a lot of folks give him a lot for a show that lasted 2 seasons 15 years ago. I think that in many ways, Dave Chappelle is skating on the legacy of Chappelle's Show. That was like 20 episodes of TV. And he gets the benefit of the doubt in ways that, well, a non-straight person, a non-cis person wouldn't, a woman wouldn't get, a black woman wouldn't get it. He gets a lot of space, and out of all these damn specials, I don't hear people quote Dave Chappelle jokes. I ain't heard no bangers out of all these damn specials. So anyways, that's all I have to say about that. Oh my gosh, there's 1.2 thousand people watching this. So I'm just going to read a couple comments and then I'm going to be out because I know that y'all are insulting me. Okay, you guys, come on. Okay, now, okay, you know what? We've already gotten into the insult Kim portion of the evening. The Jussie part. Oh, I didn't talk about that. Good question, Jasmine. I thought it was hilarious. I didn't talk about my feelings about Jussie Smollett because who needs those problems? But I did think that the Jussie Smollett bit was very funny. I think that Dave Chappelle is really good when he's talking about race. But that's it. That's it. The only Chappelle that's a meme. Go back. Dave is funny. I think Dave Chappelle, I didn't say that Dave Chappelle isn't funny. I laughed out loud quite a few times. But I think that jokes that you can hear in any barbershop across the country are not funny. Like bigotry ain't funny to me. But yeah, like he is funny sometimes. When he was talking about buying a gun, I thought that was hilarious. That's hilarious to me. What did you think about the trans woman who thanked him? I already said earlier that I think that is not a real story. I don't think Daphne exists. I think Dave Chappelle is a great storyteller. There were so many times when I was engrossed in his storytelling. Well, not so many times, but a couple times toward the end where I was really engrossed in the storytelling. Do I think Daphne exists? Point her out. Daphne, if you're out there, show yourself. Okay? Because I don't think that's a real person. Yeah, look. I think Dave Chappelle, sometimes people's times has passed. I think that he is not at the height of his superpowers anymore, and that's fine. I think it's okay. Time moves on. I don't think that it's just comedy. Dave is jealous of Kevin Hart. I don't know. I just said I watched the epilogue. I wouldn't know about Daphne if I didn't watch the epilogue. How do you think... I mean, I know... Look, okay. How do you think he could come back from this? He's become an obtuse dinosaur. Yeah, look, I think that Dave Chappelle is going to keep doing... I think Dave Chappelle is going to keep doing what he does. Yeah, I'm saying that I don't believe it. I'm saying that I know what was presented. I know the story that was presented. I'm saying that I don't believe that story. So anyways, thank you guys so much for, well, I mean, look, you can say whatever you want to say to me if you're giving me money. Like, oh, my feelings are so hurt. You gave me money. Thank you guys so much. That's all I have to say about this. Buy some merch. Sign up for the Patreon. I appreciate you. I'm gonna go. Bye. Bye. I am single. Yes, meaning I am unmarried.